Hi, I'm Dr. Adrienne Sprouse for your Environmental Minute, and today we're on site at the American Academy of Environmental Medicine Conference in Phoenix, Arizona, interviewing some of the world's experts in environmental medicine. And today we have Dr. Margaret Grout, an environmental physician right here in Phoenix, Arizona. Hi, Martha. Welcome, and thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. Every patient that I see is going to be asked what they eat. If we find that they're eating a lot of things that tend to be generally not so healthy, for instance, packaged foods that have more than 4 ingredients or things they can't pronounce on the labels, we just eliminate those right away, if possible. I have some patients who come in, they drink, 8 or 10 sodas a day. And so we cut down to 1 soda a day until they figure out how addicted they are and they get angry about it. And then they quit. It's really interesting. It's as bad as smoking almost. Panic attacks, arthritis, anxiety, nasal allergies, chronic headaches, irritable bowel, ulcerative colitis. Shall I go on? What we find is that the major allergens are really wheat and dairy. They are broken down into compounds which look very much like morphine, very much like our own endorphins, and they're highly allergenic, highly addictive. It's all over the literature. You can see that they actually affect the same areas in the brain that all of the drugs do that are so addictive, same areas as sugar. There's an amazing environmental working group study that was done that showed that babies born have over 200 chemicals already in their cord blood when they're first hatched. That's kind of scary. There are other studies that have been done that show that when you put children on an organic diet, the volatile organic compounds that you could measure in the urine diminish to practically nothing. And so I would have to say that organic is far healthier simply because we're not ingesting chemical compounds. On the other hand, I realize that organic tends to be more expensive and a little harder to locate. Again, the Environmental Working Group has a great download on its website that shows the specific foods that have the highest pesticide residues versus the lowest. And I was surprised to see on that website that broccoli is actually fairly low on the scale. But things that we eat all the time, apples, berries, sweet peppers, celery, even if you peel them, still have pesticide residues on the inside. So those things that are high on the list, I always recommend that people buy organic, and then the others as they can. What I really mean by that is that we can take in all kinds of food. They're not always good messages for our bodies. Everything that we take in gives our body a message to grow, to multiply excessively, to freak out. And so the things that we take in need to be messages that are helpful for our bodies. So for instance, if we drink sodas, okay, I start the day by downing a Mountain Dew or something. It has so many chemicals in it, including brominated vegetable oil, that are really, truly unhealthy for our bodies. And if we start every day by giving our bodies something that's going to take it down, how can we possibly expect to feel healthy? My daughter one time came out to me and said, "Mom, what's wrong with my legs?" And she had all these spots on them. Now, she didn't know, but I looked at them and I said, "Oh my God, that's petechiae. She doesn't have any platelets. She is bleeding spontaneously into her legs. Has she got leukemia?" I almost just passed right out on the floor. It turned out that she had been drinking large amounts of a soft drink that had a lot of brominated vegetable oil in it. And it turns out that bromine can cause decreased platelet count and petechiae. Platelets are the things that help us to stop bleeding. They cause us to clot when we cut ourselves. And so with my daughter, There wasn't really any wound that she had particularly, but just because she stood up from time to time, her blood vessels would leak. And normally we do that and we don't bleed. Well, she was bleeding because she didn't have any platelets. 6 weeks later, she was fine. Platelets were back to normal. But it's that kind of thing that can happen that's really scary with foods, and I don't think people realize that. I find that a lot of my younger patients actually don't know how to cook. I'm not sure they know how to boil an egg. I think they can boil water. It sounds crazy, but they always eat out, or they eat out of a box. The Joy of Cooking, Irma Roundbauer's cookbook that I grew up with, was actually written for people that didn't know how to boil water. We need a book like that now, I think, with more modern information. And I may think about working on something like that.
I'm Dr. Adrienne Sprouse, and this is your Environmental Minute.